Hello, Reading 7. I am going to help you along with reading a story that connects to one of the Perseus myths we read earlier. And it relates to the time when Perseus had become a hero by chopping off the head of the Gorgon Medusa, the one with the snakes for hair. And when he did that, it wasn't like a clean swipe. It pretty much was, but a few drops of blood were shed onto the ground, and from that blood spawned this marvelous horse, and the horse became known as Pegasus, very famous mythological creature since thousands of years ago. And so you might hear that name in commercials, in that's commercials, advertising, and other stories. Some people name their own horses Pegasus because of how wonderful of a creature it was described to be. Okay, so this is the story of that famous mythological horse Pegasus. And the story, if you bring that up from your Google Docs to read along, which you should, because that's part of your growing comprehension and your growing intelligence. Here you'll find Bellerophon and Pegasus. When Perseus cut off the head of Medusa, a horse with wings sprang up from some drops of her blood. Named Pegasus, he was a noble, marvelous horse of a shining bay color, reddish-brown. So this horse had this lustrous hair coating it, and it was marvelous, probably almost shiny gold a little bit in certain sunlight. His two wings were big enough to hide his rider and keep him warm from the wind. But he had never had a rider. The man who would bridle him, mount, and ride Pegasus was Bellerophon. He was a young prince of Crete. Young prince of Corinth, handsome and brave. Bellerophon knew all about Pegasus, the wonder horse, whose stamping hoofs on the Muses' mountain of Helicon had caused Hippocrene, the sacred spring of poets, to bubble up from the ground. The young prince of Corinth yearned for that horse as he had never desired anything in his whole life. Wow! The oracle of Corinth, old man Polyidus, counseled a visit to Athena's temple, Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, explaining that only the divine aid of a god could capture a divine horse. Bellerophon prayed and slept in the temple. The goddess appeared and gave him a bit and bridle of gold. So the bit would slip into the horse's mouth and the bridle would go over the back, and then he could hang on to the bridle and let the horse know which way to turn by pulling the bridle one way or another. So Bellerophon, he slipped the bridle over Pegasus' head and the golden bit into his mouth. Pegasus was calm and did not resist. Then Bellerophon, wearing his bronze armor, leaped onto his back. There was no saddle or stirrups in those days. Never was a horse more quickly tamed. Then trouble came. Bellerophon accidentally killed a man and needed to be purified by a king's touch. He went to King Proteus of Tiryns, made his confession and atonement, and was absolved. So atonement is like your penance, what you would do to do a right for the wrong that you did. Atonement. But Antea, the wife of Proteus, fell in love with Bellerophon. He rejected her advances, but she told lies to her husband, saying that Bellerophon had dishonored her. King Proteus was in a bind. Bellerophon was a guest, and the king could not violate the laws of hospitality by killing him. So he sent him off with a letter to his brother-in-law, Iobates, the king of Lycia. The letter was a request that Iobates kill Bellerophon at the first chance, but King Iobates was also reluctant to kill Bellerophon. Why do you want to kill a good guy, man? Even more than Proteus, he was incapable of violating the laws that bind host and guest. Zeus, king of all the gods, Zeus would be furious if you broke a law of the gods. So Iobates sent Bellerophon off to fight the Cimmerian, who had been laying waste to the land. This was a truly formidable monster, with a lion's head and the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake. Wow. A formidable monster, meaning that very, very scary, huge, and seemingly unconquerable. That's formidable, just very big and powerful. So, formidable monster with a lion's head, the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake. Bellerophon took his best weapons, bow and arrows and spears, but his best weapon of all was actually the flying bay horse, Pegasus. It was a tremendous encounter, the man and horse plunging down to attack the foul beast as it reared up, growling, bleeding and hissing from the filthy rocks of its den. Each downward swoop, a flurry of arrows, of lunges and thrusts with spear. The green smoke of the monster's breath almost blew them down, but Pegasus swept down once more, and Bellerophon launched one more thrust. He drove the spearhead down deep into the green blood of the beast. A few more thrusts, and it lay dead, the corpse smoldering away in greenish dust and gray ashes. The devastated land rejoiced, and Bellerophon joined the ranks of the real heroes. But after a time, hubris, excessive pride, proved too strong. Bellerophon thought he could ride Pegasus up to Mount Olympus and become immortal. However, immortality is only granted to those the gods choose. You can't just go up there and say, hey, I'm going to be immortal. I'm going to be one of you guys. No, you can't do that. You have to be chosen. Pegasus, wise horse, knew this. He balked at the bridle and threw his rider, crippling him. Ooh, poor lame Bellerophon wandered the earth. He yearned to leave for the rest of his life, waiting for his winged horse to come back. But Pegasus was given a refuge in Olympian stables with the fierce steeds of Zeus. He was honored to fetch Zeus his bolts of thunder and lightning. Okay, so Pegasus was a noble horse, and he would not ultimately want a rider who would have the ignoble trait, the dishonorable trait of hubris, of excessive pride. So he would not go back and find Bellerophon. Bellerophon would have to deal with not being too prideful. And I suppose wandering the earth isn't going to make you feel that way. Okay, kids, so that's part of the story of Pegasus. Pegasus had, of course, much more to do than just this time with Bellerophon, but this was its beginning. So please take care of the rest of the review assignment for this story. Our next one up is actually what was written as an epic by the very famous Greek poet Homer, and it's called, I think you might have heard this, The Trojan War. So we won't be reading the actual one. That would take us very long. We could do a whole semester and even a year on that, but we are going to get you acquainted with it because it's classic knowledge with some pretty big time names. Okay, so I'm going to walkie-talkie out and have you guys make sure that you take care of your assignment today. And yeah, so be good, take care, and as usual, pray for everything that we do need to pray for thankfulness and for people that need help. Okay, and you be good, and I'll be good too. Promise. Bye bye.